Hello, I'm Patsy Smith from the Jackson County Cooperative Extension Office, and I'm the SNAP Ed assistant. So we have been talking about container gardenings because summer's coming up and a lot of people want to do their own gardens, and we're going to have a video on our Jackson County Cooperative Extension Service YouTube channel. So if you guys want to go on there and look at our how to do container gardens, we're going to have that on there. But today what I'm going to show you how to make a really easy salsa, and this is made with things that you can grow in your container garden. Before we get started on our fresh salsa recipe, the main thing that we have to do is we want to make sure that our hands are washed, which I've already washed my hands, and we have made our own bleach sanitizing solution so that our surfaces are sanitized. You always want to make sure that everything is clean, and by making your own, you can make it fresh every day, and it's 2 tablespoons per quart of water. 2 tablespoons of bleach per quart if you want to make your own. So you always want to make sure that your hands are washed and that your surface is cleaned and sanitized before you start chopping your ingredients. So one of the things that's really easy to grow in a container garden is green onions, because all you do is poke those down in the dirt and they just come up from there. And we also, we're going to be putting peppers in our salsa. That's another easy thing that you can grow in a container garden is peppers. So, and we're going to be using, for our salsa today, we're going to be using tomatoes. So that's another thing that is pretty easy to grow on your own. So we're going to start out. We have our recipe here, and it's just a basic salsa. It's very easy. So we're gonna start out with our tomatoes. So that's what I have here. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop up the tomato. So it's really easy. You wanna make sure that your fingers are out of the way, and you just chop away. So our recipe calls for 3 tomatoes. So in order to save time, gone ahead and we already have some chopped up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pour the tomatoes in the bowl. So that's our tomatoes, and we'll add these that I've chopped fresh. And these are and if you don't have fresh tomatoes, which, like I said, they're very easy to grow in a container garden. So, but another alternative, if you do not have any fresh tomatoes, is you can just use the canned tomatoes from the grocery store. The next thing that it calls for is a diced onion. So here's our onions, and we're going to go ahead and dice some of those up. So we're going to be getting a lot of fresh stuff in our salsa today, which makes it taste really, really good. So you chop your onion, as I've done right here. And since we wanted to save a little bit of time, we also have a ½ cup of chopped diced onion here. So you're just going to throw that in with your tomatoes. And the next thing that it calls for is your peppers. And what I like to do is with the peppers is use different colors. That way you have a variety, and it makes your plate, makes the salsa just a lot more colorful. So we have some peppers, and I have a green one here. So I'm just going to chop a little bit of this. And this is something that if you have kids at home, that you can also get them to help you with. Such an easy recipe. And for those of you who like to can, you can also use these fresh ingredients and do your canned salsa. So there's our green pepper. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to add We already have this chopped up, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add this. So we have all of our fresh ingredients. So we're gonna stir that up. And now I hope you guys can see just how colorful that is. So you stir this up. And then our recipe calls for a half a cup of fresh cilantro. Well, right now things are really hard to find, and we couldn't find any fresh cilantro. So if you want to put cilantro in your salsa, you can just use the kind in a container. So you can use that. So you can put a little bit of cilantro in there, and it calls for half a cup of fresh. So we're just going to put a teaspoon in here. So we're gonna put this in here, and it's gonna give it a little bit of flavor. And if you really like cilantro, you can add more or you can add less. You can make the recipe your own as to your taste. Some people do not like cilantro. So we got our cilantro in there, and we're gonna stir it up. And then it calls for 1 teaspoon of salt. And that's optional. So you can put the salt in or you can leave it out. I'm actually gonna leave it out of this recipe today. So that salt is optional because you're gonna have all these fresh ingredients and it's gonna be a really healthy recipe. So the last thing that our salsa calls for is it calls for 2 teaspoons of lime juice. So I went to the store and they didn't have lime juice, so I did find limes. So I have already taken the lime and I have used a juicer and squeezed it out. So the only thing you have to do is you want to pour your lime juice in your salsa. So far we have used all fresh ingredients for our salsa. So we have that in there, and you stir it up, and you're getting all these fresh vegetables that you could grow in your backyard, on your front porch, or just wherever you have space. If you have a flower pot, or if you have a way of making a container garden, which is something that you can look up on our YouTube channel. And again, our YouTube channel is Jackson County Cooperative Extension Service. And I also have a nutrition page where I will post all kinds of recipes. And I have a lot more salsa recipes where if you wanted to add black beans to this, you could add black beans, you could add corn, you can even add cucumbers. Anything that you like basically can go in a fresh salsa, and you have a meal. You can serve it with tortilla chips, or you can serve it on salads, just basically however you like to eat your salsa. And our nutrition page is Jackson County, Kentucky Nutrition. So you can go there and you can find all kinds of recipes, or if there's a recipe here at the office, you can give us a call at 606-287-7693, and I will make sure that you get that recipe card. So the salsa is finished. So now you have your finished product, and it's really great to eat with your chips. So here we go. Thank you. If you want to modify this recipe to suit your own taste, there's some other ingredients, some other spices that go great in salsa recipes. Chili pepper goes great, cumin, jalapeno peppers, garlic, oregano leaves. That's just a few things that you can add that really gives it a kick, and if you like that. And then if you don't have all those spices in your cupboard at home, they do make a pre-package that you can get at most grocery stores, and that way you just you pour those in your salsa, and it has the measurements on the back. So that's another great way that you can spice up your salsa if you like.